Well, here we are again. Let me just, for those of you who might be viewing this for the first time, let me explain where it's going and where it came from. And then I'll explain to you why this is a very significant time for those of you who've been practicing for many months or not, just watching. What this is really about, these shapes you see behind you, these are members of the family tree. So each one of these individual balls behind me here, these are grandparents in your family tree. If I give you another view of that, I might just show you this part. And this is the family tree on this side. And this triangle is father, circle is mother. So these shapes behind it is mother's parents, grandparents. These are the great grandparents on both sides. This is your family tree coming down to parts of your body, mind. Yes, your entire body is connected to your family tree. More so than we even realize, far more so. Science is just beginning to catch up to say that each one of these grandparents or great grandparents, they had emotional content. And that emotional content is coded into specific, what's called methylated proteins to produce epigenetics. And those memories, they come down to you and they're stored in different glands, organs, and body systems. No, that's not science fiction. That's not woo-woo. That's science now. But what science probably, theoretically, doesn't recognize is the magnitude of the number of emotions that you have received from your ancestry. Now, to go beyond that, we have to go into a place that, well, theoretically goes beyond the current science. And in this model right here, what I'm showing you is that each one of these six, they're the combined sequential unity of the six grandmothers from the family. Three of them from the mother's family, these bottom three, and that's number 2 is called mother's mother. Number 4 is called mother's mother's mother. And number 6 is mother's father's mother. These three women, they correspond to a whole series of internal functions, including your capacity to feel, including everything to do with anything liquid: water, kidney, bowels, blood, skin, perspiration, lungs, cleaning. These three grandmothers, they do the most significant things, in my opinion. This is just all my experience and opinion. You just can experience it or not. Now, what I'm intrigued with is how these other three, grandmother number 1, by the way, that corresponds to father's mother. For me, she corresponds to the will, and that is the will that corresponds to survival, creates the bones, out of the bones comes the blood, and so on and so on. That number 1 is really the very first female that emerges through the entire sequence to come out after 10 months, gestation and otherwise, comes out. So this is the very first female that starts off a sequence of women, and this is the summer solstice, now in the descending day length of the year. It goes down to the winter solstice at the bottom and starts a journey back up. The journey back up is 6 men. Let me go back to the other one for just a second. It looks like this. On this side, you have The bottom of the journey, mother's father, won't go back to the chart for now, mother's mother's father, mother's father's father. These are the three sets of grandparents down in the dark area from your mother's side of the family. Wow, that's a lot of information. Now, I don't know about your family, but most of the pairs of relationships in my family, they had chaos, pain, loss, death, divorce, whatever, remarriage, nuclear family functions. These are all of the grandparents from my mother's side of the family. Now, why that's significant is that these lead to the masculine side. So the feminine feeds the masculine. My inside feeds my outside. So whatever you see in my outside body function, the shape of my body, the symptoms of my body, the capacity of my brain, everything about it that you see manifested in the outer world comes from deriving all of its content from my mother's side of the family. Wow. In my opinion, about 80% of everything we do is run by the mother's side of the family to produce the outside. So on the father's side of the family, I know this is a little challenge, but you can do it. On the father's side of the family, at the peak of the solstice in the summer, it starts the sequence to go down again. So as the sun is going down in the day length, every day, winter is getting closer and closer. This is the summer going into the autumn. Right here, the autumn is the beginning of the continuation of the descent for 3 more months in the autumn, leading down to the winter solstice, where it all goes back up again. Now, not easy to see, but this is a giant figure 8, always circulating, holding, and replicating all of the misery that ever existed in any one of them. I'm sorry about putting it that way, but I'm saying that all of these grandparents, great-grandparents, they had feelings. They had traumas, they had addictions, they had war, they had violence, they had diseases. Wow. Far more than we remember. But all of their emotional memory is encoded in the DNA. Luckily, we don't activate all of it all the time, or we'd be dead. So I'm suggesting that it's possible to go to them one at a time, quite gently. Primarily, I suggest starting in the equinox, the autumn equinox, which is the beginning of a 13-month lunar calendar. I won't go into all the reasons why lunar calendar is better than the solar calendar, the Roman calendar, and so on. I'm suggesting that if you spend a month on one position in your family tree, to feel it more. Now, the problem is the moment you want to feel it more, you run right into the composite emotional memories of not only what's there, but all of the other ones have their boundaries and electric fences and griefs and pains and false belief systems and rages and panics and abuse. And wow, a normal family has all of that. So if you want to go through these one at a time, a month at a time, now the problem is I can't guarantee you it works, but I can pretty much guarantee you some things are going to happen. You're not going to feel good. You have to start out by feeling something to enable your capacity to begin to release it, transform it. Learn that there's some you want to keep by creating a metamorphosis, early childhood frozen memories. Others that you want to go, whoa, this one doesn't belong to me. Thank you, Grandma, but no. You don't need your great-grandmother's jealousy. You don't need your great-grandfather's alcoholism. You don't need their racism or their hatred of God or whatever it was, religion or Catholics or Protestants or Jews or Arabs. You don't need all of that, but it's all there. You can develop the capacity to experience it and then develop a skill set that enables you to either receive it in a loving way or transform and release it. That's the theory of it. Now, I'm going to fast forward. Myself and some others, we've been practicing this now for 11 months. Whoa. What at 11 months has not been easy. No. Every single month, some emotional content likely corresponding to that month comes forward to be felt, processed, changed, or renewed in a healthier way. Now, before you give up on this, these 12 different positions, they correspond to all of the interwoven chakra systems that make up your glands, organs, and body systems. So inside these numbers, you see positions. For example, number 3, which is where I am right now, I'm on the 4th week of the 11th month, meaning I've gone through one by one each one of these, and I'm on what's called grandmother number 3. Number 3, by the way, if you do the numbers, its head is 6, throat's 5, round the heart's 4, solar plexus is 3. Now guess what there is around the solar plexus? Wow, so many things at the solar plexus. Treachery, betrayal, jealousy, rage, or harmony, justice, cooperation, sharing, generosity, healing. Guess what's right here? Abundance. Because this typically, what we call the 2nd month of summer, is usually a treasure trove of, well, in my neighborhood, zucchini and tomatoes. Everybody's trying to give everybody else their zucchinis and tomatoes and vegetables, and this is an abundant month of green. Hence, I'm wearing green. This is an abundant month of community. Now, community is something that ideally we share. We share the roads, we share the power, the water, police, fire departments. We share a community. We gather together. We have our own home, family, but we share education, we share medicine. Ideally, we share resources, services. Number 3 is a very important place. It is also the place of medicine, primarily plant medicine, but it's also medicine by the sense of touch, healing, hugging, holding, massage, postures, qigong, yoga, tai chi. This is a place of the embodiment of everything that's come before. So what you see in my body is a sum total of all of these things having passed through all the cycles of my years. Wow. The physical body now has a series of underlying blueprints. Some of those blueprints you absolutely want to keep. For example, your fingerprints, they're basically created around the 12th week of gestation. You're just a baby in the womb and you already have your blood type and you already have your fingerprints for the rest of your life. But what you also have is the genetic blueprint of your ideal self. Consider that inside you is a genetic blueprint of you being a wonderfully healthy human being and exactly your body type that you came in genetically along this line, which is very different than if you came in along a different epigenetic line. Now, most of us, we have a combination of 1, 2, or 3, usually 3 different ones, vectors, different lines, but the 3 is the place where you manifest your outer physical world. Very important place. Now, what destroys this is any deviation in ethics, morality, justice, fairness, equality. Wow. You want to know what destroys it? Anything Machiavellian, political, selfishness, greed, jealousy. So what destroys the solar plexus? A whole bunch of things. Now for me, this place right here at the 3 where I am, I'm on the 4th week of this month of the summer. Now each week has a different quality to it. The first week we focus primarily on the infinite nature of what the pristine quality of that might be. So what's the pristine quality of a 3? Well, you can have whatever you want, but for me it's divine wisdom. What is the divine wisdom? And wisdom, by the way, would be for me defined as a soul-based emotional experience of truth. There are many different elements of truth, but a soul-based emotional experience of truth becomes a long-term embodiment that becomes automatic. Now, the challenge is along this same line, 3 incorporates the 3 above, 4, 5, and 6, and the 3 below, 1, 2, and 3. So this place right here, it changes who you are. I know that's a lot to stop and think about, but it's also a great grandmother. So let me just show you that other graphic again and ask you, father's mother. Guess who she is? She's your father's mother's mother-in-law. Your father's mother, your number 1, that's the one that came last month if you're in the northern hemisphere, her mother-in-law from the opposite family, not genetically related to, is number 3. How did they get along? Well, one of the most fabled of difficulties on the planet is usually the mother-in-law or the in-laws. Problem is all these in-laws had relationships with other people, and then they come down to be married inside you. The problem is a lot of them didn't even know each other or like each other until they came into you. Your job, should you even choose to accept it at all, and maybe you really wouldn't want to, is to go to each one of them and say the magic words. Thank you. Thank you for being my great-grandmother. Maybe I never got a chance to meet you, but thank you. I know that part of you is now engaged in the articulation of my body constitution, how I feel, how I think, how my body chemistry works. That's number 3. She's married to number 4. Joy, happiness, celebration. Were they actually happy? Maybe, maybe not. So I'm suggesting you can go to each one of them. I'm suggesting that you do 1 a month. Don't get in a hurry. 1 a month. Just 1. Now, during that month, you go through 4 different weeks. And the first one is like the divine quality. The second week is how this is about me, not about anyone else, just you alone, self. Then the third week is how I relate to others using this. The fourth week is What can I develop in this place that has not been developed by anyone in my family tree? How can I have the passion to want to grow and give that attribute? You can only grow to the degree that you have the passion to want to go beyond the boundaries. Now, here the problem is the moment that you start having a sincere desire to want to grow, you're going to run right into a powerful electric fence that's going to say, no, stop that. You'll just stop. You won't even know why. You'll just go, I don't want to. And you go back to living your life inside of a, well, whatever it is, fishbowl, pen, corral, whatever it is. We all do, by the way. We all have these interwoven entanglements of barbed wire fences and electric fences holding us in a particular boundary. So now you're making a desire to want to go past all of the repressive boundaries of the emotional memories of your ancestors? Whoa! You want to go back 10,000 years and re-examine all of the male-female violence, iniquity, cruelty. You want to do all of that. Some of them you want to definitely let go of, and some of them you want to like, that was very nice of you to go through that 20,000 years ago in the epoch of humanity, but no, I want to be me. You don't have to take on the entire pain and suffering of your entire family tree. Now, for me, I'm on that third month, moving in just a week or less into the larger diameter of the last month of summer, which happens to be the last month of 1 year of going through this. 1 year. But 1 year is a one. It's only a beginning. To actually manifest that would need 3 years, a three, to physically manifest it. Now, that's the underlying theory around it. You can experiment with bits and pieces of it if you want and come along, share your experiences, but I want to be honest with you. This is likely to bring up many unresolved emotions about a wide array of subjects that you didn't even know you had. Because without knowing it, you're processing the emotions of your grandparents and great-grandparents, and you're accessing collective consciousness of all the pain and suffering on the planet anyway. You don't really need to do that. But in order to not do it, you need to know the boundaries that lead you to next to it, but not take it on. So I'm preparing to go into this larger circle, which is the combined sequence of all of the family tree, intentionally linked for 1 year to arrive at that point, the 12th month of the year, starting with the first month being the first month of autumn. So now I'm moving back to this. So this, why is it larger? Well, the first one is self, the second one is others, the large one is all. The all means, well, the all. Collective consciousness of all of the plant kingdom, animal kingdom, globally, the collective consciousness of all humanity, the collective consciousness of everything we see and don't see, the collective consciousness of all of the spirits that have died and gone on? Yeah, maybe. Do you really want to deal with all that? Well, unfortunately, I don't think you have any choice. You can choose to ignore it and not do it, but you'll just take it with you in an unfinished package into the spirit world, where you go into a place of consistent denial of it for a long time because you chose to deny it while you're in the body. Whatever you do in the body with intention and purpose, you take with you and continue. Whatever you deny in the body, you take that denial with you and you don't even go there. That's just my opinion. So my suggestion is, yeah, spend a little time with each one of these grandmothers because you're going to go through 6 months of women, starting from the peak of summer all the way through the end of the solstice and the winter solstice. You're going to go through 6 functions of women. I'm suggesting that the intentional willingness to bring harmony and cooperation between them and to collectively choose to harmonize them together in a unit will increase the positive things going into the masculine for 6 more months. I have to tell you, I've had so much emotional turmoil and pain in the last few months. I can understand why anybody doesn't want to do this. I get it. There are moments I just want to quit and go eat, a pint of ice cream or something, which occasionally I do, but not very often. I mean, I'd rather just quit and not do anything. I can't do that for very long because something comes to move me along. So I'm sharing with you my personal experience that I'm going through, going into this 12th month of the year. And I'm inviting you to, those of you who want to start now and prepare to dive from a very high dive. 5 girl is, by the way, 1,000 times more powerful than 3 girl in this progression. And you can dive from a 1,000-meter mountain into a tiny cup of water called 2 girls' feelings. Your feelings, you alone. Well, all series of metaphors, but give it some thought. If you get curious, ask some questions. It's okay. I will try not to bite you, but sometimes I do, so I'm sorry ahead of time. Well, anyway, thanks for coming by. Talk to you soon. Bye-bye.